So the situation in Puerto Rico since Hurricane Maria hasn't gotten a whole lot of coverage in the mainstream news. For whatever reason, they don't see fit to broadcast the tragedies that are taking place in Puerto Rico. So, as sort of independent media alternative outlets, on YouTube, we can raise awareness and shine light on these situations uh, whenever they occur. And this isn't the normal type of video I do, but I was inspired to do so because I was on the panel with Dread. Shout out to Big Dread. You've been exposed. We talked a little bit on the panel a couple weeks ago about some of the things that could happen as far as them not having power for extended periods of time. How things could just go terribly wrong. So let's just get into this article. This is by Annie Duke. Hurricane Maria in Puerto Rico. Will we realize they are us? The situation in Puerto Rico after Hurricane Maria has been dire. The lack of electricity has made it difficult to broadcast all the details. But what we already know is undeniably horribly bad, according to a BuzzFeed correspondent, Vera Bergengruen. That was tweeted on September 26th from a Pentagon source. Approximately 44% of the population of Puerto Rico is without drinking water. 11 of 69 hospitals have fuel or power. A series of images of post-Maria Puerto Rico posted by The Atlantic capture examples of the devastation. Formerly lush vegetation ripped away, twisted with remains of homes and power lines, a 4-lane road torn up like wet cardboard, and people crowding around potential sources of water and cell phone reception. Hurricanes Harvey and Irma obviously created terrible destruction in Texas and Florida, but the situation is much worse in Puerto Rico after Maria. Estimates vary, but it could take 3 to 6 months for the island to regain power. Yet compared to Irma and Harvey, the overall response to Hurricane Maria as I weave through my social media seems muted. Between Harvey and Irma, my Twitter has been slammed with news, links, opinions, pleas, and efforts to help. The news coverage, likewise, has been unending. Days in advance during the disasters and scene after scene after scene of the damage and responses, Maria has just not gotten as much attention. I've been thinking about why. Given the scope of the catastrophe, the magnitude of the response hasn't seemed to measure up. Disaster fatigue could have something to do with it. This has been a terrible month for natural disasters. Harvey in Texas, Irma in Florida, and 3 earthquakes greater than 6.0 in the last month in Mexico, and several additional quakes and aftershocks in the last few days. While some disaster fatigue may have set in, our comparative lethargy and lack of attention when it comes to helping Puerto Rico may also be the result of in-group bias. The headline of an article in the New York Times on September 26 pointed out to a shocking fact: nearly half of Americans don't know Puerto Ricans are fellow citizens. The story reported on a poll finding that only 54% of Americans know that people born in Puerto Rico are actually U.S. citizens. Right after I saw a Times article, I saw a tweet from Jay Van Bavel, a social neuroscientist in the psychology department at NYU. He linked to the article citing this statistic in Popular. More than 8 in 10 Americans who know Puerto Ricans are citizens support aid, compared with only 4 in 10 of those who do not. Van Bavel pointed out that empathy is parochial. We feel much more empathy towards those within our own tribe, treating those within our group very differently than those outside our group. Think about your emotional responses to the recent Mexican earthquakes versus the American hurricanes. For Mexico, there was a general outpouring of concern and support, but when those hurricanes hit Texas and Florida, hit us, to quote 1,000 movie trailers, this time it was personal. There was a sense of urgency we felt to help the situation. The coverage of and reaction to Puerto Rico feels like it is somewhere in between the reaction to the Mexican earthquakes and the reaction to Harvey and Irma. Maria is still a terrible tragedy. We hope for the safety of the survivors, but it does not feel as much an attack on us. That's not as surprising once you know that only around half of Americans see Puerto Rico as part of the U.S., as part of us. And that's a major issue that we have to deal with, because we're all part of the human family. We're all connected. We're all part of this same human family. I have a friend that's in Puerto Rico right now. He lost his dad last Friday, and sent some text messages as far as what's going on over there. You know, he was wondering what was going on at work. He was trying to get back there because his dad was in bad condition, and because of delays, his dad ended up dying 6 hours before he got there. He said, "I had to get a hotel in Atlanta. You know, it's so hard to call. I don't think I can take my FLM documents to my dad's primary doctor. His office is closed. Still no power. Food is hard to get. You don't know how good you have it out there in Wonderland. My phone doesn't work here. There's no service. Rice has been rationed. Long lines for gas and bank. Only McDonald's is open here. All restaurants are closed. Power lines are down in the middle of the streets. Long lines for banks. People are dying in the hospital because they have no meds. In all caps, I need food. I need someone to go to HR and let them know my situation with these documents. It's like an atomic bomb has exploded. This is my dad's old phone, and it's difficult to text. We still have martial law. There's no mail services. And what happened to that rain or shine service? Sometimes people go out here. You see people collecting water from mountain streams. That's what's going on out there. It's just difficult times for those people, and you know, they aren't able to get the food and water that's being sent to them, that's being held up by bureaucracy. Everything's protocols, and you know, I'll post a link in the description to Dred's video earlier from audio. There was a police officer in Puerto Rico who was calling a radio station, I believe, talking about how the mayor isn't allowing people to distribute the supplies that are showing up. This is all just a result of people being detached from reality, the reality that we're all connected, and there's a serious lack of empathy for people in this world. So whatever we can do, however you do it, whether you pray, meditate, send love and light, do that for them in Puerto Rico. Do that for the people in Florida. Do that for the people in Texas and in Mexico. That's all I got for this one.